When I started making money, my position about what it is that motivated me, helped me navigate through all these ups and downs was that, well, wait a minute, if I can make that much money, if I did this many contracts with that type of a move, then I could make $20,000 a month. Well, if I did $20,000 a month, that's like $250,000 a year almost. So that's what I'm gonna try to trade more aggressively. I want to make more money because I like how I feel. And if I could start flashing that, showing it to other people, then I would get that itch scratched. And I did. I did all those types of things. And you know what? It didn't work. It was like a mosquito bite. Yeah, you felt it bite you and it's pulling the little thing it sticks in you to suck the blood out of you. Then you either smack it or you start scratching it. Well, as soon as you scratch it, that's it. The histamine in your skin is going to go crazy and it's going to start itching even more. So what I thought was going to satisfy that itch, to make me feel significant, to make me feel like I've arrived or worth being, here. Like I didn't find a purpose in life until I found trading. This was my whole purpose for being here. I'm convinced of it now, more so as a 51-year-old in August. I'm convinced that's why I was here. I was meant to be here. And it's not arrogance because I was resisting that for a long time. Like, how did all these things happen where my mother just recently had an abortion right before she got pregnant with me? And it was only a threat by my father to take her life, literally. That's the reason why she gave birth to me. So imagine you come into the world and your parent, your father's locked up in prison for contract murder, doing 2 consecutive life sentences, plus 20 years, plus pick up more time for trying to escape in the early 80s. He's never getting out. He's going to die in there. And my mother didn't want anything to do with me. So I know what it's like for all of you, okay, that are trying to find your way out here, that you want to feel like you're somebody special, that you really matter, that you have a purpose, and you end up having like these montage moments. That's how it was for me when I was a young man. Like I would play music, and then in my mind, while I was driving, doing my job, I'm like, oh man, I'm listening to this music while I'm driving around. It's going to be like this when I get successful. It's going to be like that when I get successful. When I do this, I'm going to show that person, you know. And you might be laughing to yourself. You're thinking, yeah, I do that shit too. I would never tell it to anybody, but that's what it was for me. And when I taught on baby pips, a lot of the things I taught with my lectures and such, I painted it in a light that it was like an action movie. It was like some kind of Tom Clancy, you know, type thing, sniper, and it picked up. It got an audience, and then that audience learned, and they learned how to trade. And other people would ask them, "How'd you learn?" I learned from this guy on baby pips, and more people grew, and it just kept growing, growing, growing. And I don't know where you are in your walk. I don't know where you are in your learning. I don't know where you are in the world. I don't know your state of mind, but I've always had this deep rooted desire to be, number one, identified, recognized. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, wait a minute, you just opened this up by saying you don't want to be a celebrity. Yeah, I don't want to be a celebrity. I don't like just a little bit of notoriety I've received. Like it's extremely intrusive. And so many people are clamoring to get your attention and wanting to do things with you. And I don't feel like my life is mine anymore, which is the reason why I'm putting down Inner Circle Trader in November. I'm doing that. No one else did that. I'm doing it. I told you the time it's going to happen, and I will be satisfied how I leave you. And that way I won't have this itch that I keep scratching. I know some of that probably upsets you, like because you like the things I put out, and maybe like these Twitter Spaces. And no, I'm not going to do them once we're done in November. But the videos on my YouTube channel, I'm not taking them down. A lot of people are freaking out saying he's going to take his videos down. Not, that the whole purpose of putting out there was so you don't have to buy them from these people that are out there trying to trick you and say that I taught Enigma in my mentorship when I never did. I never will teach that. I didn't teach 90-minute or 90-second or 90-minute cycles. Okay, there's people out there literally lying to you using my name, claiming that I taught this in the forum and this and that. And it's not true. It's absolutely not true. And I put those core content lessons up on my YouTube channel for the express purpose to gift it to the community, number one. Two, to prove that everybody else out there that doesn't want to just simply give recognition. Like it's extremely offensive to see people pretend like they found this on their own. There's nothing. Listen, folks. Okay, this is for the people that like to go in the comment section of other people's videos and say I rebranded it. There's $1 million. That's a bounty. I have $1 million that I will pay if you sit down, go through my core content, go through all my PD arrays, okay, go through all that stuff, and show us all where I rebranded any of that bullshit. Okay, because it ain't happening. Okay, all that stuff that people talk about, it's just to steal your pursuit. And social media has a huge influence over people. Huge. Like I could be way bigger than I am if I wanted to be bigger. I don't want to be bigger. Like I'm uncomfortable. And some of you that might want to be where I am right now, as a 20-year-old, I didn't start that way, but about 4 years into it, this is exactly where I wanted to be at. And I knew I had something. If I made it available to other people, you would all eat it up because it's the market. It is the market. But in those early years, I was fleshing out the things that I had to overcome as a person. It was me that was doing all the damage. It wasn't the tools. It wasn't the concepts. It was me trying to force it when it wasn't there. And you don't realize that. You could become a really good trader learning from me. You could become a really good trader learning from anybody else. If they have something that works, the things that derail you are always internal. They're always internal. There's a there's a guy out there that I thought I was doing something nice. I was trying to promote him and push him, and I don't know what caused him to flake out or whatever, but I'll just tell you this, Pat. Yes, Patrick Whelan. Um, I know you listen to these and I know you watch my videos, okay? And I see you on your live streams bitching and complaining about how the number one guru on Twitter trades in demo. You're trading in a demo. When you're trading those funded accounts, you're trading in a demo. You are trading in a demo. That's just the facts, okay? And what you're trying to do actually is hurting your brand. Like, don't get on there and dramatize about me. Just do what you're doing. And that's what I was trying to push you to do. Focus on what it is that you do. If you're good at trading and you have a model you trust and you can do it, there's going to be somebody out there that it fits for them. Not everybody. Everything I teach doesn't fit everybody. But understanding and reading price, that fits everybody's model. No matter what you do, the way I teach and show you where price is going to gravitate to, if you plug that into anything that already makes money, it supercharges it. I don't sit out here and talk about how you bought a Bronco and it wants to be a Jeep. Okay. I don't talk about all that stuff. Stop doing those sites because drama marketing does not work. It's short term. It gets a little bit of a buzz, a talk, a crowd. But unless you have the ability to hold that crowd and give them something of substance, you fizzle out and it ends up hurting you. It hurts your brand. Just keep doing what you're doing. I'm watching you still. But when you do that and you rage quit on your live streams like that, it's not good. It doesn't do well for your brand. It doesn't do anything for your image. And if you're trying to grow, you're someone else, okay? Someone else that wants to do what it is that I'm talking about. Drama marketing doesn't work. It doesn't work. It just makes you look like you're insecure. It makes you feel like you have a superiority complex and you feel inferior. That's why these other influencers talk about me, because I'm beating the shit out of them. And I'm not even trying to. I'm still right now, I'm trying to be gentlemanly and tell you, don't do that. This is how you help your own brand. Who would do that? Nobody else would do that. I want all of you to succeed. I want all of you to do well. I want you all to make money, because you're all going to be having a harder time in the next few years. It's going to get stupid. So you've probably been looking at the way the market's behaved. And early on in the beginning of May, I told you one of the seasonal tendencies I like to have is a sell off or weakness in the month of May going down into the month of June for stock indices. And if you have gone through the core content, you'll hear me talk about seasonal tendencies, and I give you very specific seasonal tendencies. And I got them from Steve Moore. Okay. And I've already shared his website and such, but he doesn't know me. And maybe he does now, because I probably put a lot of people on to him, but I don't get any kind of kickbacks. And Steve, if you're listening, I don't want one. Okay. I just think he has the superior the commodity and well, all the markets, really. He covers all of them, but his seasonal tendencies are absolutely the pinnacle. Like, that is, if you're going to do anything with seasonality in markets, he is the person to go to. Like, he is the man. He's the guy that has the data, because the way he does it, it's not form fitted. I have Larry Williams' Sure Thing Commodity Trading book. Okay. And to me, when I first read it, it was like, wow, this is revolutionary. This is the thing. And he was kind of like the first guy to get out there and really put something in the print about it. And you got guys like, when I was coming up, it was like Jake Bernstein. He made a big thing about seasonal tendencies. Um, it wasn't until Steve Moore did his product of having like a 15-year, a 5-year, comparing, showing the relationships of how it performed over like the seasonal tendency. Like, for instance, when eggs used to be a futures contract, and they don't trade them anymore. But when do you think egg prices would go up? Right before Easter. Everybody would be buying eggs to dye them, and it was just like every year everybody knew when to buy eggs, and that was the trade that's never failed. Well, that same thing existed in pork bellies, and if you eat bacon, that's where you get bacon from, the pork belly. Well, they don't trade pork bellies anymore either. So, but these thin markets, they were really wonderful markets that had high degree accuracy with their seasonality. Steve Moore brought in a perspective that if he hadn't done it, I wouldn't have even considered it. So I think he revolutionized the whole viewpoint of seasonality by looking at the relationship to any seasonal tendency over the basis of a short period of time using the data. How did the seasonality or seasonal tendency perform over the last 5 years? And then how did it perform over the last 15 years? And then how did it perform over the last 25 years or 30 years? And if you have a seasonal tendency that delivers a specific direction on any given market, that all three of them are in agreement with, that to me, and that's, I'm sure if he was talking to you, he would say the same thing. That's a very strong seasonal tendency. Very, very strong seasonal tendency. And that was what I did in my core content, where I used his seasonal tendency charts. And I said, these are my favorite seasonal tendencies because I see them as strong. And I go into detail as to why I believe that. And I show you visually using his product. And I think that if you are going to trade with seasonal tendencies, you should support him as a content creator. I get nothing for it. It's a matter of insight that you really can't get. There's a lot of people on websites out there that have seasonal tendency graphs and such. To me, they're all they're substandard. they're nowhere near the degree of Steve Moore and what he does with seasonal tendencies. And frankly, if I was him, I would charge more money. And you're probably cussing me right now, thinking, "What are you doing that for, ICT?" Because his product in the hands of someone that knows how to trade, it's literally like a roadmap. Like it literally, like I can look at these graphs and say, okay, in the fall, at this specific month, I know I want to be a short seller. I want to be a long trader on this month of that particular market. And it sounds like that can't be. As a new trader, when you first come into this, everything is told to you by books and educators that it's random. Everything in these markets are random, and you can't time the market, and you have to react to price. And that's absolute bullshit. That's bullshit. You cannot listen to that drivel, okay, and become and adhere to that logic and become a independent thinking, consistently profitable trader. I'm convinced of it because I did my utmost best to try to do that. And everybody else that does the same bullshit, that's why the 90% losing statistic exists. But what you don't realize is, folks, listen, as and I've said this many times in other resources, whether it be on YouTube or in other Twitter spaces, but yes, I absolutely believe this that the statistics with trading that 90% blow out really early and it never become profitable. 90%. But what you fail to realize is there's another party on the other side of their trades. It's a net sum zero game. For every winner, there's a buyer. So the paradigm shift that I had was, okay, when I first started, I was absolutely residing in that 90% losing crowd. I was there, and I was buying books thinking that shit was going to help me. It was going to change my direction. It was going to create me and put a path in front of me that was going to be the right one. Now, what I failed to understand is if I'm buying that same book and it's been out there for sale for years before I even started, why isn't it everybody else hasn't figured out what I was going to do, which is follow the rules? And when I stopped buying books, that's when I started learning. When I stopped system hopping and changing my hand of who wants to teach me now, who wants to be the mentor of Michael. When that stopped, and I put my ass in front of the charts and said, okay, I don't know anything. I'm nobody, and I'm at the first step. I'm at zero. What do I want to do? Where is my focus at? Where do I right now, looking at these markets and the opportunities that they present, where do I want to go in this? What can I do with the job that I have? I had a job that I was working. I had to be out in Owings Mills real early in the morning, and the whole workday was really about 12 and a half, 13 hours. So I couldn't be in front of the charts to trade live because I would be all over Baltimore City and Baltimore County filling up vending machines, fixing coffee machines. And even on the way home, I would probably have to be stopping and fixing a machine that someone would call and say, hey, our something didn't work. And my boss at the time, Glenn, would say, this is I need you to do this. And that's it. So I can't go home and do what I want to do when I'm off. I'm stopping and doing a service call. So I had to come up with a way of determining what the hell it is I'm going to do, which was very difficult for me because I felt like if I could sit in front of the charts and look at 1 hour charts real time, I would be able to do very, very well. But I couldn't have real time charts while I was driving around in a step van. So the next best thing for me was to get some kind of quote device. So that way I had to come up with a way of determining where I want to be a buyer because I wasn't a short seller in the beginning. I didn't understand short selling. I was afraid of it. And it didn't make any sense. How can you sell something you don't own and make money, right? It's like, what the hell's that? So I wanted to be a buyer only. So my motto was buy model only. And what was the driving force behind the decisions that made me a buyer? I was looking at a 9 and 18 exponential moving average on a daily chart. If the 9 day moving average. Now, I don't do this now, folks, so don't take this as the gospel, okay? But I'm just telling you how we have changed, okay? We've definitely evolved. But when I first started, it was a 9 EMA exponential and a 18-day exponential moving average on the daily chart. And I had a 50-day moving average that was just a simple, not even exponential. So what I wanted to see was that 50-day sloping up. I don't care how, if it was a gradual slope, if it was higher than it was 20 days ago, to me, I'm looking for longs. But that doesn't give me the buy yet. I wanted to see the 9-day being above the EMA. I'm sorry, the 9 EMA above the 18-day EMA. But it can't just cross it. I can't do that. I have to wait for it to cross. Then it has to spend at least 3 days above the 18-day.